Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What is censorality? What is a censor? How is censorship naturally defined? Continuing to progress through linguistics until we arrive at a sufficiently unique differentiation of it is what it is. That is a definition. What is a censor? Fluency is influential. It directly spells out the word fluent. Fluent is fluent. Words are naturally defined. How is censorality defined? So just progressing through our steps, some interesting ones as always, pointing out what we can when we can, and just continuing along with our analysis. So at the end of the last episode, we had two kind of big acknowledgments and proofing sections. What is prepositionality? Just in linguistics, you get introduced to this term. Hey, a preposition, what is it? Again, not really well defined, kind of highlighting that. As well as saying that geometry is chiral and chirality is fractal. And that's what you do when you look at a crystal and you see all the depth is right. Fractals scale, or fractals are the mathematical representation of these physical properties being contained and being proportional and scaling and being preserved with size. And so you have physical preservation, and then you have fractalization or fracticality to represent that preservation regardless of size in mathematics. So again, fractals is another one of these just mathematical objects where you get introduced to it in school and you're just like, what is this thing? Same things with factorials, which we went through. But fractals, again, should be very, when you look at a light through a crystal or through a prism and go, ooh, ah, you're looking at this fracticality, chirality relationship. Same thing with like miniature sets or like snow globes. When you see a little snow globe and you look in there at like little miniature figurines, and it's just like you like, kind of like feel this whole world in this small little area. Right? It's because of fracticality. It's this preservation of size indiscriminate of actual absolute size. And so we just continue along. We stated the fundamental theorem of geometry. Chirality is a fractal. Fracticality is geometric. And so emphasizing fractal is a word you use, but fracticality, again, a natural expansion, again, this unit, this element I. It's a natural phonetic progression, but fracticality is geometric. Censorality is fracticality. Censorality is geometricality. Natural definition, direct iterations. Are metrics geometric? Structure is fractal. Censorality is fractality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is sensation fractal? What is fraction to fractal? Are fractions fractal? Direct iteration. Restating the fundamental theorem of geometry, and again, when I do this in such quick succession, it still just feels novel enough just to restate it. Fractures are fractal. Again, we've said this directly. Again, you go break something, and all of the little jagged edges, all of the little progression of something breaking or cracking is demonstrating this, again, discreteness, this overall fracticality, but again, the preservation physically, the preservation of this geometric properties and the discreteness, those are the lines that form when something breaks, when something fractures. Fractures are fractal. What is action to fraction? Then we can restate the fundamental theorem of physics. Censorality is actionality. Right? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Well, again, there's our chronology and historical ontological progression. What is action? What is action to position? What is action to acceleration? Censorality is actionable. Censorality is actionability. Natural definition, direct iteration, a word form in logic we've come across a lot in economics. Right? We need actionable insights to pick a stock. Just kind of pointing that out. Censorality is reactionability. What is action to reaction? Again, historically emphasizing Newton was the most comprehensive physicist that has been articulated or demonstrated throughout history. And then you get the action, reaction, but You get this chronology. Again, there's a bunch of parts of physics that haven't been understood. The main one conceptually being what is energy? Again, is this thing moving? The answer is yes. E equals mc squared is a statement of momentum. And that's really the most simple, direct demonstration of what did people not understand at all throughout history. Is the simple question, is this thing moving? Is really the whole thing. And then again, the limitation of movement forms a vibration. To maximize movement, you form a rhythm. Truly what we're doing is working through a direct specific case of inversion in linguistics, which contains the entirety of logic. And so we're demonstrating this chirality manifestation in our letters. But that's how we get or when we say we have to get our concepts in the right orders and then the linguistics will be trivial, that's how we get our syllability, our common denominators to line up. What is reactionability to reasonability? Sensorality is a reasonable reaction. I feel like we've hit that direct dichotomy before. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is reasonability to relatability? Sensorality is relatable. Again, another one of these A consonant A words where people use the phonetic very naturally, right? Relatability, that's very relatable, but then the actual linguistic construction doesn't feel natural or real. But sensorality is relatability, natural definition, direct iteration. What is position to power? So out of all of our definitions, energy, movement, potential, power, energy, velocity. So what is position to power? Because right, velocity is defined on a change of position, a displacement from origination, movement. So the big conceptual thing is what is position? Emphasizing position, P-O-S-I-T-I-O-N. Right, so we have the centralization of the word it. Sensorality is a power position. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is prepositionality to personality? Is personality versatile? Is motion chiral? Is a preposition a proposition? Direct iteration. Is a proposition a suggestion? What is gesture to suggestion? Sensorality is suggestive. Sensorality is suggestionality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is gestation a suggestion? What is gestation to sensation? Sensorality is gestationality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is gestation to generation? What is positionality to vibrationality? So now this is way back again in the first like 20 or 30 in this series, because again the conceptualization has to cycle at the species level for there to be enough conceptual and linguistic differentiation to prove a new axiom. But this is when we said a vibration, again this is when we really define vibration as not movement. If you displace from an equilibrium and then go back over a certain given time interval and you haven't moved anywhere or you haven't done any work, you haven't displaced, but that's the kind of this whole, again, what is moving in relation to what? Right? This has momentum, but it does not have momentum in relation to me. But then we don't have this reference frame. That's where we get out of Albert Einstein, or again, just the progress. There's no even like historical analogy. It's just we have completeness. We can demonstrate that linguistically, proving, again, a physical axiom, what is a sensor. But just positionality and vibrationality, because things are always moving, and we always have these things, this kind of verbiage we say in physics, we take a snapshot or we take a moment of momentum. Again, moment, movement, momentum, right? The movement of moments is momentum. And so, but if we define vibration as not movement, and again, rhythm maximizes movement, but in reality, all things are moving, right? Again, this is a fundamental dichotomy logically. But where is something located if it's always moving? What is position to vibration? Is position rational? What is promotion to premonition? Sensorality is premonitionality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is acceptance to appreciation? Sensorality appreciates acceptance. Sensorality is acceptable. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is acceptability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is gatekeeping acceptable? Fundamental theorem of slang. Sensorality is gatekeepability. Again, we get 3 words completely, a new conceptualization, kind of this slang consensus emergence. What is a gatekeeper? Right? Gatekeepability. And it makes sense. To censor something is to gatekeep directly. Fundamental theorem of slang. Natural definition, direct iteration. Censorship is gatekeeping. Sensorality is gatekeeping. Sensorality keeps it clean. Direct iteration, again, complete consensus usage. Right, keep it clean. Is gaslighting gatekeeping? Is gatekeeping gaslighting? Gaslighting is slighting. Natural definition, direct iteration. So now a great example of you can't break this irreducibility literally ever at any point in human history. And so in addition to not understanding physics, the actual mathematical proofing, again, to the point of reduction, mythically there's no historical examples to you can be like, this guy wasn't even close. But you can't break this irreducibility, and this contraction, this reduction, forces these finite things, or these really simple, again, linguistic constructions, letters, to words and to conceptualizations. And so that when you get this reduction, you always root back to the same basis. You can't not. And so we see that, right? We have gaslighting, 2 words, gas and light. Fundamentally, physically, again, light is not well articulated. We get to that resolution later, I believe. But again, light, right, it's all this single linguistic differential that we derive from. And so, but gaslighting, 2 complete words, slang conceptualization, but then we produce the complete word slight. And it's just that elemental iteration, element plural S, and then the word light. Just pointing that out, gaslighting is slighting, and it's consistent, right? You can never break the consistency of language, you just can't. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is math, sensorality is aftermath. Natural definition, direct iteration. Damage is aftermath, carnage is aftermath, carnage is catastrophic damage. Just another one worth pointing out and emphasizing, aftermath, just interesting. Sensorality is catastrophicality. Sensorality is stratosphericality. Right, of all of the layers of the atmosphere, why is the stratosphere, right? He's going to the stratosphere. Why is that one like the associated to, wow, he's really out there? Again, aftermath, after, filter, an elementality relationship there, moving along. What is power to energy? Again, back to this, energy, movement, potential. That's the biggest, most comprehensive physical thing that people haven't known throughout history. Again, what is the inverse of mass? Or again, how do you represent? It's clear to see things moving. That's matter, that's mass. How do you mathematically and represent when you have to interact with that thing moving with something else that's moving? That's your quote-unquote measurement problem, in what those words can mean, not the quantum. Quantum mechanics is not a unique domain of physics at any point. And so energy being the biggest thing, and now we have this definition in our progression that power is energy velocity. Movement potential, velocity, rapid change, again, are operative words. Energy is movement potential, power is energy velocity. Fundamental theorem of physics, power is change in movement potential. Power is potent. Natural definition, direct iteration. Power changes movement potential, right? The power shift, the shifting dynamic of power, a power struggle, right? Power is a change in movement potential. Power changes movement potential. What is position to potential? Right? You have to be displaced from equilibrium to have the potential to move. Sensorality is position, natural definition, direct iteration, again emphasizing position, fundamentally physically defined thing. You have to, so now to the verbiage of, right, we have a function that represents this object's position over time, right? So what is position to time is our kind of like our fundamental relationship of functionality and for related rates for equations of motion. And then you get the obvious, you take the derivative of the function to get its velocity. Velocity is derivative from position, it's a change of position. Sensorality is position, emphasizing the it is what it is, because again we're showing sensorality as sensorality just in its differentiated forms and then showing its complete iteration. And then position has 3 letters before it and then 3 letters after it. Sensorality differentiates positionality. Direct iteration. What is preposition to deposition? Again, just 2 words using position. Sensorality is depositionality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is deposition to power? So that's a good example of containment. Clearly, deposition is deposition, but we have this conceptual containment in this linguistic progression. Generosity contains energy. You are uniquely saying somebody is generous when you say they have good vibes. I like their energy. Again, a direct iterated word form. All of the letters of energy are in generosity, plus the whole word so and the whole word it. And so we have this linguistic containment. And then when we say something like, what is deposition to power, we get conceptualization to say, hey, here's another way we can look at the relationship of position and power. Is a deposition a proposition? Is position local? What is position to sensation? Is position massive? And what is the relationship of matter, mass, and location? Right? Space is nothing. A location is not a position in space. It doesn't make any sense. Sounds good. Sounds like it makes something, right? I'm a position in nothing. What in the, what is that, Bill? Oh, Newton said it, Einstein said it, Sean Carroll said it. Doesn't make any sense at all. Like none. But is position massive? What is position to mass? Is position passive? Direct iteration. Again, the direct iterations are emphasizing the elementality of whatever's in front of me. What is positivity to positionality? What is positionality to personality? Sensorality is uniqueness. Natural definition, direct iteration, and here's again, we've broken down in these axiomatic steps quite a bit. Speciality, again, is our first proven axiomatic definition. It is a direct chronological linguistic progression. You have to progress through that whole thing entirely conceptually and linguistically again to do it again. Can't emphasize that enough. But again, infinite uniqueness, that was proven as speciality. Now that has kind of gone to endless differentiation, but we're back to the infinite uniqueness. And so again, first thing to point out is uniqueness, Holy French syllability, but que is a whole word. And so this is just an amalgamation, but sensorality is uniqueness. Then we just take out the UNI and generalize. Sensorality is uniality. Natural definition, direct iteration. And that step produced, again, a whole class of, again, linguistic logical representation of numbers, of cardinality and of ordinality. Right? Uniality, duality, but then we have duality and coality, which both represent 2. Triality, quadality, quintality. Now obviously you can progress further, but quintality, sensorality is quintality, natural definition, direct iteration, and remember, sensorality is quintessentiality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Why is quintessential quintessential? What is 5? What is essential about 5? It is what it is. 5 syllables. And so again, this whole time, we have this underlying physical elementality. Literally look at letters on the screen, look at letters on a menu, look at letters on your TV, and you will immediately start aligning up the symmetry of the letters. You can directly see it. That's elementality. So overall, this whole derivation process is taking a concept, sensorality, and then reducing all of the linguistic implications and logical implications until we run out of letters. And so the reduction, again, it is what it is, being this irreducible, unbreakable elementality of the entire structure of language that's always existed. That's why you always get back to it is what it is. And it's 5 syllables and it's quintessential. The most perfect example, the most complete, comprehensive example, quintessential. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is quintessentiality to appreciality? I just have appreciationality, but immediately breaking that down to appreciality. Fundamental theorem of logic / linguistics. It is what it is quintessential. Natural definition, direct iteration. Again, this reduction of syllability and elementality. Again, speciality, we have a direct example of 5 syllables specifically, right? Everything is, it is what it is. But then we have, again, 7 syllables to 5 syllables, I think. So again, we've produced some of these word forms with like they're like big, long things, like German words. But clearly 5 is the definable syllability, but for our physical definition from emotion to motion, right, we have less syllables. So I think it's again from 3 to 2, right, that fundamental stability of 2. We have this unique linguistic pairing that we can prove of what is sensorality, and we show that unique progression linguistically. But it is what it is quintessential, directly, literally. That's where quint comes from. Iambic pentameter is quintessential. Natural definition, and we can see this reduction of syllability to 5 in poetry. Iambic pentameter as well as haiku, right? 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. So we have this elementality, derivation, reduction, awareness of numeric representations of elementality in poetry, because they're words, right? But this is a fun section, but we get this word, iambic. Sensorality is iambicality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is an alibi iambic? Direct iteration, emphasizing the elementality of alibi and iambic. Is haiku iambic pentameter? That was a direct iteration. Just again, one foot after the other, and now it's like how specific this step was. Something you could obviously type into Google, so I did it, and it says no, it is not. But again, I am emphasizing these forms are reducing to quintessentiality, 5 essential syllables. Again, 5, 7, 5 for haiku, and then 10 syllables per line divided into 5 pairs for iambic pentameter, and you alternate emphasis. All right. Iambic pentameter is rhythmic. It's like kind of what it is. Natural definition, direct iteration, iambicality alternates. Fundamental theorem of physics, rhythm alternates. Direct iteration. What is vibration to alternation? Sensorality is an alternator. Well defined. Sensorality is alternatorality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Again, after, alter, falter, filter. An alternator is a filter. Natural definition. Sensorality is an air intake filter. Sticking with cars, but a direct iteration, natural definition. What is alteration to filtration? Changing alters. An alteration is adulteration. Natural definition, direct iteration. And again, anytime we progress the word rhythm from rhythm to algorithm, that pair again was produced by the reduction of speciality. So we have to encapsulate, be comprehensive to this entire structure, actually, literally, provably. And then reduce it down to 2 linguistic things, or just our fundamental pair, and just be done, hopefully. But we're not done. The derivation process doesn't stop. But sensorality and alteration is adulteration, right? If something is unadulterated, it has not been altered. The natural consensus usage. Sensorality is adulterationality. Fundamental theorem of legality. Sensorality is adultery. Natural definition, direct iteration. Adulteration is modification. Natural definition. Sensorality is modifiality. A generalization of modification. What is modality to modificationality? Is mode chiral? Is mode fractal? What is mode to media? Is media medical? Direct iteration, again, you're just adding a C and an L. Mediality is medicality. Natural definition, and now you're just adding a C. What is media to marketing? Sensorality is the inverse of advertisement. Natural definition, direct iteration. Again, advertisement is a direct iteration of verse. What is adversity to advertisement? Direct iteration. Sensorality appeals. Sensorality is appellate. Sensorality is appellationality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Je m'appelle appellationality. Sensorality postulates. Sensorality is postulationality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is postulation to position? Is space open, right? He needs a lot of space, a lot of space to roam. Space, free and open space, the open range. Is space open? Space is nothing. Is nothing open? Again, we're just progressing to a self-contained question of linguistics, contains the letters, conceptualization is clear, and it defines sensorality directly literally. Sensorality opens space. Sensorality opens sesame. Sensorality is open space. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is spacing to roaming? Right, if you have 5G, you'll never have roaming. But again, emphasizing the progression, technology, Verizon or whatever cellular company, AT&T, but just roaming. That's kind of where the verbiage, I think, comes from, again, most recently. Sensorality roams. Sensorality is roaming. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is room to roam. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is roaming to running? So that is just where we finished up with the derivation today. Again, the iambic pentameter haiku, again, quintessentiality being 5 essential syllables, is a direct statement of acknowledgement of it is what it is quintessential. So we just progressed through our derivation. Again, I cannot speed this process up anymore. I've provided clear and present value. My rights continue to be violated so profoundly. I'm seeking asylum. My property is destroyed. My health's destroyed. You guys have ruined my life. I say it every day. Nobody cares. To history and to my estate, take everything. No leniency. It's all my property. Every crime gets punished, gets prosecuted. No one cares. A bunch of liars, cheats, and thieves will just keep lying, cheating, and stealing. Nobody cares because this is America. Land of the free, home of the brave. Just hardworking Americans absolutely lying, cheating, and stealing, and being hypocrites and competing over nothing. As always, no one cares. Again, it's disgusting. It's heinous. But no one cares. That is what I have for tonight. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.